Accurate historiography is crucial for understanding our past and shaping our future. In the world of energy conservation, few have made an impact as profound as Charles Baker. A visionary and a trailblazer, Charles saw what many could not. The only way to make energy conservation truly effective was to make it as affordable as the old standard magnetic ballast, which cost 10 times less for a lamp. Much like Bill Gates' current endeavor to revolutionize nuclear reactors, Charles Baker set out to transform energy conservation. While Gates utilized billions to drive green power generation, Charles Baker did it the hard way, by challenging and ultimately transforming the government from within. Charles Baker's projected $6 billion in energy and product cost savings for the federal government was an extremely conservative estimate. The actual savings achieved by the Department of Defense and the entire federal sector were much higher, closer to $18 billion. Furthermore, his cost-saving strategies for energy-efficient lighting products had a ripple effect on the commercial market across the United States, resulting in cost savings approaching $1 trillion over 30 years. Baker's innovative approaches and price negotiations fundamentally disrupted the industry, making energy-efficient lighting affordable and driving widespread adoption years before the commercial sector caught up. Crucially, without the lower lighting paybacks under 3 years generated by Charles Baker's work in lowering prices and having installation costs, other energy programs would not have been viable. The entire energy conservation initiative hinged on lighting paybacks, as all projects were required to have a 10-year or lower payback period. Baker's work on lighting efficiency not only made these projects successful but also enabled HVAC and water projects to become feasible, creating a comprehensive and effective energy-saving program. Charles Baker spearheaded the energy movement within the federal sector, saving over $1 trillion over 30 years, far exceeding the projected savings of $6 billion. He proved the naysayers wrong, one by one, until energy-efficient lighting was implemented in the federal sector years before the commercial market caught up. This book will highlight Charles Baker's remarkable journey and his lasting impact through advocacy, military service, entrepreneurship, and community leadership. His story is one of perseverance, innovation, and unwavering dedication to a greener future. Charles Baker didn't just change the game. He rewrote the rules and became a market disruptor others had to stop. His legacy will continue to inspire future generations to take bold steps toward a more sustainable world, demonstrating how strategic improvements in one area can catalyze widespread change across entire industries. In conclusion, recognizing Charles Baker as a key spearhead of energy conservation is vital. His contributions have had a lasting impact, and it's imperative that we honor his legacy in our pursuit of sustainability. Sergeant Baker's contributions to federal procurement and energy conservation were significant and innovative. He developed expertise in federal procurement and market research, becoming a subject matter expert for the Department of Defense in energy-efficient lighting and energy conservation procurement programs. His work positioned the DoD as a leader in the energy movement, ahead of the commercial sector. The McGuire concept, developed by Sergeant Baker, was a groundbreaking buying process that incentivized cost reduction in procurement. This unique concept rewarded individuals for saving funds on awarded contracts' next purchase price, particularly for mandatory sourced items from the Defense Logistics Agency, DLA, in Richmond, Virginia. Sergeant Baker's expertise was largely self-taught, and he faced initial skepticism from government agencies. However, his knowledge was so valuable that lighting industry manufacturers sent engineers to train him on base for months. This collaboration was crucial in overcoming resistance to his innovative ideas. Using his extensive market research and industry knowledge, Sergeant Baker challenged the existing energy lighting catalog used by the federal government. The DLA had issued a 700-item energy lighting catalog for mandatory use, but it was largely in use due to high costs and long payback periods. Sergeant Baker's approach dramatically reduced costs, lowering the price of a light bulb from $6 to $1 and a light fixture from $256 to $37. These reductions shortened the payback period for lighting from 14 years to less than 3 years, making energy conservation initiatives more feasible and attractive. The McGuire concept's success in reducing costs by 25% to 75% for all items caught the attention of DLA senior leadership. Sergeant Baker was invited to train 50 contracting officers at DLA headquarters on effective market research techniques and how to write better contracts to maintain lower costs using the McGuire concept for energy-efficient lighting products. Sergeant Baker's work demonstrates the power of innovative thinking, thorough market research, and industry collaboration in improving government procurement processes and advancing energy conservation efforts. His story is a testament to how dedication and ingenuity can lead to transformative changes in even the most established systems.
Relationship with Charles Baker by Rob Ragazine. Charles and I were introduced through a mutual acquaintance in the energy services industry several years ago. The person who introduced us had told me about Charles and some of the background of Charles's life and career, as well as Charles' lack of inhibition regarding both of these topics. Having been in the industry as long as I have, I've met a lot of people who claimed a lot of things, and I've been pretty good at weeding through the hype to determine who actually could back up their claims and who couldn't. So I had my guard up when I was first introduced to Charles. However, from the moment we started talking, it was obvious that Charles had legitimate experience and knowledge of the energy industry, and in particular, lighting and the electrical side of the business. He also had a very interesting career in the military. And as described, he was not shy about discussing it and his success in it. He shared some amazing stories that frankly I took with a grain of salt, feeling that if even half of them were somewhat true, it was still impressive. Beyond all the claims, there was a very interesting person who definitely had an interesting career, and I found that I genuinely liked him. And the more we spoke, the more business and personal traits we seemed to share. We spent a couple of hours talking that night and getting to know each other, and I think we both walked away feeling we could and should work together. As time went on, we continued to develop our relationship, including meeting personally with our wives. Also, as time went on, Charles kept backing up all of the claims he had made, including some that I may not have fully believed at first. Charles has many talents, but as it relates to the energy industry, and more directly, contract law, procurement and implementation of projects for federal facilities, and the use of small business enterprises, I have found Charles to be by far the most knowledgeable person on these topics. Not one of the most knowledgeable, the most knowledgeable. This includes the many people who are employed by the government, working for large departments responsible to know and enforce these rules. I sat in many meetings and phone conferences where Charles regularly proved he was the smartest person in the room on these topics. He certainly taught me most of what I know about federal contracting. Charles and I have had the pleasure of working together on several projects, and more importantly, we have continued our personal friendship. I was not surprised to hear about the idea for this book and video, and I am honored that I was asked to contribute to it.
Airman Baker's unprecedented responsibility defines Charles Baker's remarkable military journey as a junior serviceman and his unwavering commitment to self-improvement. Different commanders repeatedly entrusted this young airman with critical projects, defying traditional military hierarchy. Baker's career began as a bomber crew chief before retraining as an electrician due to medical issues. As the sole black electrician, he faced discrimination but turned adversity into opportunity. When the foreman handed him the National Electrical Code, NEC, calling it the Bible for electricians, Baker took it to heart. He dedicated 4 to 5 hours daily to studying the NEC over several years, becoming one of the most knowledgeable electricians in the United States Air Force and Department of Defense. What truly set Baker apart was the extraordinary trust placed in him by his superiors. Despite being the most junior-ranked person, multiple commanders consistently put him in charge of substantial and vital projects with senior members on the project. These weren't minor tasks. They were mission-critical operations that affected the lives of all personnel on base in the military mission of the United States government. Baker was tasked with repairing the vital power supply for the entire Far East communication network and resolving critical issues with the base's fuel pipeline and water supply. which 100% impacted the total operation of these vital systems to the crucial mission. Commanders repeatedly bet their careers on Baker's abilities, having him report directly to them and take orders only from them. An almost unheard-of arrangement for someone of his rank or any other rank, as it distorts the military structure of rank and chain of command. Baker's expertise became so renowned that he was regularly sought out to check the work of registered engineers before project approval by the civil engineering commander, even though he was a satellite communication technician and worked in another squadron. During regular reviews of the work of its registered engineers, numerous violations were found, millions were saved, and his exceptional value was proved. As Sergeant Baker, he excelled simultaneously in 3 military career fields: electrician, satellite communication technician, and base energy manager. His Stripes for Exceptional Performers STEP program promotion package stated that he was better than all junior officers and head and shoulders above his peers and superiors. The commander suggested he was so good he deserved lieutenant bars, not stripes. Baker's influence extended beyond the United States Air Force, becoming the top idea person across all 26 federal agencies and the first military individual to win a federal award recognized in presidential and congressional ceremonies. Charles Baker's story shatters norms and redefines what's possible for a junior service member. By consistently rising to every challenge when always placed in charge of critical projects and dedicating himself to continuous learning and self-improvement at the highest level, he not only changed the game, he rewrote the rules of the military hierarchy. He proved that exceptional talent and dedication can overcome obstacles and impact the federal system.
I have known Charles Baker for over 25 years and consider him to be a dear friend. Charles is a very special person. He's a very kind and generous person. These attributes are reflected as a husband, father, and friend. He also is a very intelligent businessman. As a former director of small business program in the Department of Defense, I recognize Charles Baker as one of the smartest, most knowledgeable small business owners and federal procurement regulations.
The summer of 1999 was a pivotal turning point in my life. Lost with no direction was a daily thought at the time. Financially strapped, paying child support, and soon to be divorced, my Air Force paycheck just wasn't cutting it. I was drowning in debt quickly. This was all a bleak existence surrounding me. I PCS to Andrews Air Force Base on a humanitarian order to help my mother with my dying father. I'm not the most religious guy, but I feel like a higher power had to be watching over me, because at my lowest, Master Sergeant Charles Baker came up with this plan to shake up things, to start MCB lighting. This idea of his became my saving grace that I so desperately needed. Once Charles expressed the grandiose adventure he planned to embark on, I was ready to dive in headfirst into whatever needed to be done. It was all laid out for us. The starting pay was $25 an hour, and we completed 4 schools per month with a total electrical upgrade. At times, when we would be in our flow, we completed 1 every 10 days, sometimes 2 at a time. It was like a mad scientist experiment. I'm proud to be able to say I was at the birth of Charles's process of becoming a great entrepreneur. Charles offered us more than just money. He provided us structure, purpose, and goals, which made my life undeniably better. These newly found tools allowed me the freedom and stability that changed my life. Charles Baker has had an important impact on numerous lives. I'm proud to be a product of the Charles M. Baker story.